Welcome to a conversation with a community leader. I'm Kerry Bozeman, your host. This program is sponsored by Leadership Kitsap. I'm the former mayor of the city of Bremerton, and I'm currently a Port of Bremerton commissioner. And I'm proud to say today, or welcome today, my guest is Shawn Gilfedder, who is the president and CEO of Kitsap Credit Union. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you, Kerry. Great to be here.
Shawn, before we get into budgets and economics and all those kind of things, you're kind of a new guy on the block here in town. Why don't you share with our audience a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to Kitsap County?
Sure. I've lived most of my life in and around the New York City metro marketplace. So been in the business of banking, finance, and credit unions. And it was quite an opportunity to come cross country and join a community like Kitsap, and recognizing that there's so many great opportunities here on the Pacific Northwest. So it's given myself and my family an opportunity to explore. We wish we didn't have to explore during COVID, but exploring nonetheless, and having that opportunity to discover new things has been quite a treasure.
Well, I've lived here most of my life. I was born in Texas, but people move here from all over and they never leave because for some reason we get adapted to the cloudy days and they love the summers, and it's really a wonderful place to live. So my brother lives in Texas and just went through this terrible, freeze and lost his water and lost his power and just awful. So we normally don't have to deal with those kind of things.
Well, I'll say this: when I head back east, I can never eat salmon back east again, because it's never tastes the same and it's not as fresh as it is here. So it's just
but you get better pizza back there.
Just pizza and bagels. We'll have to figure that out.
Shawn, you're the CEO and president of one of the biggest businesses organizations in our county. Explain a little bit to our audience about Kitsap Credit Union. By the way, I happen to be a longtime member of your organization. What is Kitsap Credit Union, and how do you differ from regular banks?
So Kitsap Credit Union is a non-for-profit, mission-driven financial cooperative focused on the prosperity of the individuals that live within our community. So our name Kitsap is a Native American name. It means brave. And we've been brave and bold over 87 years of history. We have 116,000 members now, and we're approaching 1.8 billion in assets. Wow. So we're one of the largest community-based organizations, not only in Kitsap County, but we also serve, several surrounding counties: Jefferson, Mason, Pierce. So we've focused all of our efforts, around the consumer and small business segments, and we've grown about $500 million in assets in the last 2 years. So we feel people are voting with their wallets and recognizing that we add value, and really we're leading with our culture and our people. That is, we've been investing in our staff and our technology and making sure that we can promote convenience and highly affordable products to our member base. And it was just great to see that there's not only a real marketplace here, but there's an opportunity for us to best serve the community. And we do a lot of community work. Recently we just gave a $30,000 donation to the United Way, and I'm proud to say half of that donation came from the contributions out of the paychecks of our 300 employees. So our employees are also vested in the activities of, those that are in the community that are doing great things. So that's just one example of how, Kitsap Credit Union has been able to give back.
Yeah, you've got a long history of being an active contributor in our community. I remember when I was the director of the Olympic College Foundation, Credit Union made a really wonderful gift to the library campaign. So you go back a long history of doing that kind of thing. You have branches, right, Shawn? How many branches do you have, and where are they?
Yeah, we're 15 branches, and it's been interesting, during this period of the pandemic. Um, we had fair amount of adoption on the side of digital engagement, and that digital engagement during the pandemic grew 10 percentage points. So 60% of our business, shifted to contact center and digital only. Now we're watching those numbers, and um, our contact center volumes are up 30%. Our branch volumes are up, as well as our digital delivery. So
Are your branches open for business? Oh,
yes, they are.
people can walk in.
Yeah, and it's been interesting. So as an essential business, we've technically never been closed. What we had to do is just kind of pivot and shift our business, based upon organizing principle, making sure that we were providing a safe environment for our employees and our members. So that's really been, quite interesting for us, because we've had to evolve our business to meet those needs in the marketplace, but then also shifting our employees around. And I just have to give a lot of credit to our operations staff and our IT folks. They've done a tremendous job this past year in making sure that we can be of service to our communities.
Are you located outside of Kitsap County?
Yes, we are. So the branch that we have that is furthest north is up in Jefferson County in Port Townsend, and then
Oh,
we're down in Pierce County in Puyallup. We have two locations down in Puyallup. So we've kind of stretched our arms across the peninsula, and we continue to see opportunities. We want to balance out that branch growth with our where the attainable marketplace is. And
yeah, I noticed Liberty Bay Bank, I think that's what they're calling, up in Paulsville. They
Mhm.
opened a branch in my old hometown, which is Bellevue.
Yep.
I read the other day. So what's really been the impact of the pandemic on your bank and on your business, Shawn?
Yeah, so us being a credit union, one of the first things that we did carry was look at how we could help our existing members. That is, those that had a loan with us. We quickly realized, like, we're not financing credit anymore. We were financing time. We had to buy them time because of the amount of uncertainty. When you saw jobless claims go up to almost 8 million, it was an astounding number, and really just put people into a shock state where, wow, what is where's this going to end? What is that outcome? Some of us are still asking that question, but at least we're not staring at those types of unemployment numbers. So, we restructured over 5,000 loans that we had existing on the books for over $110 million, and did that in a period of about 4 to 5 weeks. So what we did was we gave people the assurance in saying, listen, we know there's that uncertainty, but we want you to know that us as a financial cooperative, we're here with you during this period of time. If we had to go out and repossess somebody's car, because their job situation was, well,
Mhm.
we're not helping that individual, but also not helping ourselves.
So when
And
you say restructure, you mean you're giving people more time?
more time. So we added, we extended payment dates. We added to the maturity of the loans, and this was pre-stimulus, right? So
Right.
so we didn't know what the outcome was, but we did know that we had to help people, through that transition. And then at the same time, we stood up the our triple P program through the SBA, and right now we've saved over 1,300 jobs, local jobs, through funding that initiative, and we're up to about $13 million of outstanding SBA triple P loans. So, and that's spans different size organizations, and we didn't just look to our existing base, but we opened up those opportunities to those in the community. And it's been a lot of work, but a lot of that work we recognize, it was so essential, and still is essential, because not everybody's back to work. There's still over 10 million individuals that are unemployed as part of this healthcare crisis.
Well, my daughter's in property management in the Seattle area, and she manages a very large project. I mean, 400 people, I think, or 500 live in there. She said, Dad, there's just a lot of these folks that can't pay their rent anymore, and they're running up some big bills, and we're giving them time, obviously. So it's still, there's still people in trouble out there.
Yeah, we're seeing, from an economic perspective, the good, goods production side and consumer consumption. I mean, this past month, consumer consumption was one of the highest levels ever, but we recognize that this pandemic was not, the recovery was not dimensioned equally. So there are some businesses that have great opportunities ahead of them, and then we also see those that have household incomes less than $75,000 are really struggling because most of those people are in the services industry.
Shawn, it looks like if our new president gets his stimulus package through, we're going to have a $1.9 million trillion stimulus package. What are some of the key things that will help you and your credit union and your clients if this package does pass?
We've seen extraordinary growth in deposits over the past 10 months with the first two stimulus packages, and Carrie, I'd have to say we'd love to know that those monies are focused on more so those in need. We're seeing many people prepay their loans, make sure that they have enough savings put away, and the rate of personal savings, the 3-month average right now is still at like 14%, which that average is typically between 5 and 6%. So this stimulus is going to add to those balances, and it's creating a lot of liquidity in the marketplace. We look at money supply. Money supply is at like 26%. The last recession, money supply only grew by about 6%. So there's plenty of liquidity out there. There's plenty of opportunity. We encourage people within the community to just pick up the phone and have a conversation with us. I think I can't stress enough that it's important that people establish a relationship with a financial institution before they need that relationship. And it's kind of gotten lost with many of the online banks and the online environments, and that's really where I see the value of people doing business within the communities and the communities that they serve. Is we get to know these folks, and getting to know our neighbors and doing business with our neighbors is one of the things that we pride ourselves on.
Yeah, when I do read the financial papers, which isn't every day, I mean, it's pretty obvious that your deposits are way up and capital has grown, but at the same time, all these small businesses have gone out of business and they're really struggling. What can you do to help these guys? It's kind of ironic. We have all this money and all this wealth and all this capital, and all these small businesses are going out of business.
Yeah, it's really the pandemic has accelerated some of the digital transformation that was happening in different industries. And then on the other side is a lot of the service businesses like restaurants, hospitality, hotels, are really going to continue to struggle until vaccines become more available and more of society receives that vaccine. There's really, from a financial institution perspective, the things that we can do is help people with that time element. My concern for the community is that there are things that we've all come to love and enjoy about different neighborhoods and different areas in the community, and it's just it's difficult to see that they still can't operate as they normally would, and that they're unfortunately struggling, and this is part of the government mandates coming from the State House. So the best that we can do from a financial institution perspective is just
But you're optimistic. You're optimistic that most of these businesses can come back or they'll can come out of this.
Yeah, it's really, Carrie, it's really interesting. If I just focus, on the Kitsap and where our headquarters is in Harborside, I'd have to say that, if you pick your head up and you look out long term, the long term looks good.
Yeah.
From a growth perspective.
Right.
I think that, this side of the water is really, a place where people are gravitating towards, and they like to have those amenities and those services. So I think the opportunities for those businesses to come back have a high probability of success. And we recognize that our military presence here has served us well over decades. So and that will continue to move forward. So
Shawn, I want to switch subjects here a little bit, real quick. Um, I'm kind of a climate change interested kind of person. I just got Bill Gates's new book on climate change, and one of the things in the book he talks about is how loaning institutions, much like yours, can impact climate change by maybe giving premiums to businesses or companies that are trying to do good things in the climate change business. Well, you see an opportunity there for your organization?
yeah, it's really interesting, and it's part of our discussions around
I mean,
what
do
it,
you give discounts to people in that kind of business?
yeah, as of today, no, but we recognize that the opportunities do exist. Um, and within that, we continue to think about how we as an organization can participate in incenting or providing incentives to folks to uh, better serve the community. So
Yeah.
I would say it's a great thought, Carrie, and it's one of those things that we recognize that we all have to play an important role in that in the future.
Yeah, we do. I think this thing in Texas here the last month has really reminded us uh, that, climate change is here. It's going to impact us every day, and we got to do something about it, all of us. And so I think anything we can do, and all of us, I think, together to try to, advocate for and support people that are trying to innovate and figure things out that help us be a cleaner and safer world. It's
Mhm.
probably a good idea. So
Absolutely.
my wife works for a big organization in Kitsap in Seattle area, big corporation. And back March, they sent most of their employees home. I mean, to work from home. What do you see, Shawn, in the future of that work from home versus going back to the office? What do you think is going to happen?
Yes, it's funny you bring that up because now it's the third time that I will be talking about this today, Carrie.
Yeah,
I just had a discussion with my leadership team. We've assured our employees that we're operating in this remote status at least till June. Through the end of the school year to give them comfort and knowing that we're not going to change things up as the school year is evolving and give them some certainty from that perspective. We do recognize that having everyone domiciled in an office, we've just proven over the last 12 months that not only could we be productive, but there's in some cases we're seeing increases in productivity associated with not having to commute for 2 hours a day or not having to take the ferry. So we recognize there's some positions that do really well. We also have the other side of that is that we are a retail business, and being a retail business, being in that physical space, half of our employees have to be in that physical environment. But
yeah,
I will say for the future, it's expanding our thinking. That is recruiting talent, not just locally, but recruiting talent more on a national level. It opens up those opportunities, and it allows us to think about the future state that what's our cultural norms, right? if the norm before was like, you have to be in the office and you have to have a suit and a tie on and be there by 8 o'clock. I think all those norms are being challenged right now, not only for us, but many an employer, because the employees have enjoyed the flexibility and the time that they've, gained back with their families. So
Yeah, I I think there's going to be a lot of interesting studies that are going to go on about the impact of individuals, people that don't, you know, the impact on their psyche and their emotional well-being and all that by not having that interaction at work. I can't imagine not going to work. I mean, I'm a people person and I love going to the office and having coffee and talking to people. And
yeah,
but on the other hand, for instance, my wife was commuting into, so this saves her 3.5 hours out of her day.
yeah.
So there's trade-offs. And I think you're right in mentioning that. I mean, the company my wife works for has, pretty much figured out that certain teams can be just as effective from home as they were in the office.
Right.
So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I would say the one thing that we're conscious of, and I'm sure this will come up with other organizations as they start to evaluate it, is that when you have moments that require thinking, creativity, things that propel you forward in different ways, having those opportunities to engage, exchange. It's hard to read somebody's body language on a Zoom call, but it's
Yeah,
those types of events that will bring people back together, and that's what we're talking about is what are our expectations.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of difference in sitting at a round table in a meeting with a bunch of people and being able to read their body language and all that kind of thing, which I was always reasonably good at, versus a Zoom call, which I find pretty restrictive. And
Right.
that people really don't say what's on their mind all the time, and really don't get a good dialogue. So it'll be interesting to see where it all goes.
So, Carrie, I think we're fortunate because artificial intelligence probably won't close that gap in the short run. So there'll still be some hybrid model that we'll be operating in the future.
I agree. I agree. So let's get down to talking about the economic future of Kitsap County. What do you see? What's going to drive it? What are we missing in terms of what we should have here?
I think the future. If I take the long game and say over the next 20 years, 30-40% growth in Kitsap County. We recognize that along with that growth has to come, dollars for infrastructure spend. So, have to be mindful of, the traffic flows and how people get from one place to another. I think that
Infrastructure.
infrastructure. Yeah. So it's an important part of the equation. I do think what will evolve is that how people live, right? What those communities look like and how they support each other. Work in the future. I'm a big proponent of the co-work environment, especially with all this flexibility that we're providing individuals that maybe they don't go to the office, but they share office space with other people in the community, and that creates a whole nother growth opportunity and dynamic. With the spending in the shipyards and the military presence, it's always great to have that as a strong foundation. I tell all my friends that I work at the safest credit union in the United States, and they ask me
Yes, you
why.
do.
And then I show them a picture of a nuclear sub going past my office. So and it's great to see those boats out there and know that we're well served in our communities and in
Well, when
this.
I was mayor of the city at one time, I worked hard to get the credit union. It used to be down on Burwell Street, and we bought your building actually and turned it into a police station. But we worked really hard into getting the credit union to move down in that location, and I'm really thankful they did. It's been a great thing for that harborside community, and
Yes.
I'm sure it's probably good for your business being that close to the shipyard.
Absolutely, and we just see growth in the future, and we recognize that things may be a little slower than we would like on this side of recovery, but our forecast for GDP, next 2 years is about 3.5 to 4% in 21 and 22, and that'll take us, past recovering the minus 3.5% that we saw in 2020, and we've seen here in Kitsap County, the unemployment rate in the state is, has vacillated, but it's somewhere around, 6.5%, and Kitsap County is around 5%. So,
we've always been a pretty slow growth community, but slow growth sometimes is good because you can keep up with the infrastructure needs. But you're a CEO and a leader in this community, and this program's about leadership. How would you describe your leadership style or your philosophy?
Yeah, Kerry, coming here from a different part of the country, my leadership style is inclusive. I believe in the democratic process and really, looking to my people. I recognize that I don't have all the answers, but it's really reaching out, to those that are around me, understanding, what they need, and speaking to folks both internally and externally is really where, I do, some of my best work, and giving people the resources that they need to be successful, and helping them develop their thinking around culture and how we can have an impact within this community has really, helped me develop my leadership style, over the past 2.5 years that I've been here. And it's just such a wonderful place with great people. I'm just, proud to be a part of the leadership community.
Well, Shawn, I appreciate you joining me today. We hear nothing but great things that are going on over at Kitsap Credit Union. I'm pleased and happy that you're part of our community, and you're making a contribution. And I see you all the time at meetings and various Zoom things. And so, thanks for your leadership, and thank everyone for joining me again on a conversation with a community leader. And I'll see you next time.
Leadership Kitsap is our community's civic leadership program. Leadership Kitsap fosters and empowers educated, prepared, and engaged community leaders. For over 25 years, we have cultivated leaders that work collaboratively to create positive change, dedicated to making our community a better place to work and live. We expose our class to Kitsap's leaders across public, private, and nonprofit sectors. We're happy to bring many of the conversations with these leaders to you. Strong leaders build strong communities.